Welcome back to the deep dive, where we prove that if you look closely enough, some of the most fascinating knowledge is hiding in really unexpected places.
Absolutely. And today we are not parsing legislation or, some big geopolitical event.
No, not at all. We're diving into a single, very focused post from a personal gardening blog.
It's called Notes on Gardening, Part 737. Sleeping on the Pagoda Flower, Clerodendrum paniculatum, Dillema.
And it sounds simple, but this observation, it was written by a gardener named Eng during that frantic 2025 festive season rush.
And it just unlocks so much. There's a piece about visual architecture, one about surprising biology, and then a third about the cold, hard reality of commercial horticulture.
Yeah, our mission here is really to understand why this gorgeous, apparently rare plant, the pagoda flower, sparked such a huge moment of hesitation for this potential buyer. It makes you ask, when you bring home a beautiful plant during the holidays, what are you actually buying? Is it a specimen or is it more of a performance?
It's basically a deep dive into an impulse buy and all the wisdom it takes to maybe resist it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're talking about Clerodendrum paniculatum.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start with the visuals, right? Because that's what stops the buyer in their tracks in the middle of a busy nursery.
Oh, definitely.
The source calls it a tropical evergreen perennial shrub, but when it's blooming, I mean, the shrub part is almost secondary. It's just fireworks.
That's the perfect word for it. What's most striking about the pagoda flower is just this incredible architectural complexity of its bloom.
It's not just a few petals.
No, it's a massive, multi-level cluster of these vibrant red and orange flowers. It just commands your attention, especially, in a nursery around the holidays when everything is geared towards seasonal color. This thing just stands out.
And that huge cluster, it can be a foot long or even more. It has a specific botanical name, right?
It does. It's called either a thyrse or a panicle.
Which are just terms that describe a complex, branched, sort of pyramid-shaped flower head.
And that's the key. That's the secret to its common name.
The pagoda flower.
Exactly. If you picture that bloom structure, it's not dense like, say, a rose.
Yeah.
It's loose, it's tiered, it's airy. It builds up from a wide base to a narrow peak.
And it just immediately makes you think of the architecture of a traditional Chinese pagoda.
Yeah, the resemblance is uncanny.
So the plant is literally named after its own architecture.
Yeah.
A structure built of flowers. It's such a beautiful, descriptive name.
It's a fantastic visual marker.
Right.
And this is all important context because the entire plant is being celebrated for its external, its visible beauty.
Right.
But we're about to find out its real identity lies somewhere completely different.
That's a perfect transition because this next part is where the story takes a sharp turn from visual art to like hardcore genetic science.
It really does.
Because for all its tropical drama and these red-orange tears, the pagoda flower's family tree is, well, it's genuinely shocking.
It is. What's so fascinating here is that we learn the pagoda flower belongs to the Lamiaceae family.
Lamiaceae.
And for many people listening, that family name probably means nothing. But its common name is instantly recognizable.
Okay.
It's the mint family.
The mint family. No way. When I first read that, my reaction was just pure skepticism.
I get it.
We're talking about basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, the classic aromatic kitchen herbs.
Mm-hmm.
These are plants defined by their sharp, distinct, often cooling or pungent fragrance. So how can this huge, woody, tropical shrub possibly be related to my little basil plant?
And that is the perfect question to ask. It really highlights the difference between common knowledge and biological fact.
Okay.
The source explicitly points out that Clerodendrum paniculatum does not have that characteristic minty scent.
So if you rub its leaves, nothing.
Nothing. You're not getting that intense fragrance we all associate with Lamiaceae.
So if it lacks the one trait that universally defines the mint family for all of us gardeners and cooks, the smell, why is it classified there? It feels like we're bending the rules.
We're not bending the rules. We're just moving from traditional visible classification to modern molecular taxonomy.
Okay, explain that.
Well, historically, botanists grouped plants based on what they could see: leaf arrangement, flower structure, physical shape, and, yes, scent.
Right, surface appearances.
Exactly. But since the rise of molecular biology, we realized that surface appearances can be really misleading. Evolution can do funny things.
So the crucial insight here is that the pagoda flower's classification is based entirely on its DNA.
That's it.
So if you put its DNA under the microscope, it has the specific genetic markers that link it undeniably, to the common ancestor of the mint family.
That is precisely it, even though it lost the fragrance trait somewhere way back on its evolutionary path.
Its genetic code is mint. Its external presentation is this giant tropical spire.
The underlying structure trumps the specialized features. It's like finding a distant cousin who happens to be 6 feet tall and built like a linebacker while the rest of your family is, 5 feet tall and slight.
Huh. You look totally different, but the family name, the DNA is the same.
Exactly.
That really brings the point home. This massive red flower is genetically shaking hands with the basil we use for pesto. It's a mint family member that just decided to ditch the aroma and go big on visual drama instead.
It's a wonderful biological paradox, and it's a perfect illustration of how science adapts when new evidence, in this case molecular evidence, challenges centuries of just looking at things.
So now that we understand the plant's identity and its shocking family background, we finally get to the core of the blog post title, The Dilemma.
Right.
The author spots this plant during that high-pressure holiday shopping rush, and it's a known rarity.
And that infrequency is critical. The author notes they hadn't seen a healthy specimen of this pagoda flower in the nursery for at least 2 festive seasons leading up to 2025.
So when a rare, desirable plant finally shows up, especially when everyone is shopping for decorative stuff, the impulse to buy is it's overwhelming. The author's first thought was, likely so, like, I'm buying this. But then the seasoned gardener's inner voice kicks in and starts scrutinizing the actual plant.
And that scrutiny brought up 2 major caution points that turn this impulse buy into a really high-risk gamble.
Okay, what was the first one?
The first caution point was about size and propagation. These plants were small, they were cuttings, likely grown very quickly from a mother plant.
So the small size suggests it's still putting all its energy into just establishing a root system. It's vulnerable.
Very. If it's a small cutting, it means it's young, and it needs time to mature, set deep roots. But this plant isn't just young.
It's blooming intensely for the holiday market. Which brings us to the second, and I think the really critical detail.
Yes. The plants have been chemically assisted.
Meaning?
They were treated with specific plant hormones, probably gibberellins, to artificially speed up their growth cycle and, most importantly, to induce early blooming.
So they're forcing them to peak just in time for peak sales season.
Exactly.
That is the ultimate asterisk on the price tag, isn't it? You're not buying a plant that's following its natural cycle.
You're buying a plant that's been put on a kind of performance-enhancing drug designed to make it look perfect right now.
So how does that chemical help translate into risk for me, the buyer?
It creates a massive energy debt. A young plant, especially a small cutting, should be prioritizing its resources for robust root growth, for building up resilient tissues to survive.
Instead,
by treating it with hormones to make it bloom, the nursery is essentially forcing the plant to divert all available energy into the flowers. The pretty part.
So it's using all its reserves to put on a show that the customer sees instead of investing in the infrastructure, the root system that the customer needs for it to survive long term.
Precisely. So you take this hormonally exhausted small cutting out of the perfect, controlled nursery greenhouse.
And you put it in the real world. Your garden, your home.
And that transition is called acclimation. And that is the author's primary uncertainty. That's the core dilemma.
How well will this pagoda flower acclimate once those hormone effects wear off? It's not just the shock of moving to a new place.
No, it's a shock that's compounded by the plant being temporarily optimized for a single fleeting event.
The stress of being chemically pushed past its limits combined with the stress of a new environment that often leads to failure.
Yeah, the blooms will fade, that's inevitable. And then the plant, which lacks the root strength and has used up all its energy on those showy flowers, might just collapse.
It's the difference between buying a beautiful temporary centerpiece and investing in a rare long-term perennial. The decision shifts from, wow, I found this rare beauty, to,
am I buying a temporary decoration that has already used up all its long-term potential?
And the gardener in the post, they understand this. They know the beauty is probably ephemeral, chemically timed for maximum profit.
So they're faced with the visual temptation of this rare plant versus the practical knowledge that this specific one may be too compromised to survive in their garden.
The whole post really just crystallizes that agonizing pause, doesn't it?
It does.
Standing there, looking at this vibrant red spire, knowing its genetic secret, and knowing the chemical treatment it went through to be there at that exact festive moment.
Which leads to the final and I think beautiful conclusion the author made.
Which was?
To sleep on this decision and see whether I dream about it.
Ah, it's a moment of reflection. Stepping back from the market pressure of the holiday rush to just consider the reality of cultivation.
It's acknowledging that sometimes the wisest choice is to let a fleeting, high-risk perfection just pass you by.
So what does this entire deep dive mean for us, for you listening? We started with a plant so striking it's named after its own architecture, the pagoda flower.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the knowledge we've extracted is, I think, threefold. First, the stunning pagoda flower earns its name purely through that conical, tiered structure of its massive bloom, its architectural beauty in botany.
Then second, the scientific shocker. It's classified as Lamiaceae, the mint family.
A classification based not on its lack of scent, but on its fundamental DNA structure, which proves that molecular evidence can trump these misleading physical traits.
And third,
The crucial piece of practical wisdom, rarity combined with seasonal availability, especially in a small, young plant, is a major red flag for artificial intervention.
right. The hormone treatment that induces that early blooming introduces a huge acclimation risk.
Urging the gardener to prioritize viability over that immediate aesthetic appeal.
It really shifts our focus from the instant satisfaction of buying something beautiful to the long-term commitment of cultivating something healthy.
Yeah, we have to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
are we purchasing a robust perennial with a future? Or are we just buying a fleeting, chemically optimized spectacle designed to meet a retail deadline?
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. If the horticulture industry consistently relies on chemically forcing rare plants to bloom at visually perfect times like the festive season, what does this reveal about our expectations for flora? Are we being trained as consumers to view plants as temporary, disposable decorations rather than long-term additions to the natural world? And if so, how does that shift our relationship with everything we bring home from the nursery?
It really encourages a critical evaluation of the perfection we see in December and whether that visual flawlessness is achievable or maybe even desirable in our own gardens once the chemical boost wears off.
Something to ponder the next time a picture-perfect bloom catches your eye in the off-season. Thanks for diving deep with us.